Well, hello and welcome back if you're a returning viewer, and welcome if this is your first time checking out any of my videos. This is a relatively new channel. This is my first time actually recording an on-board sound video, a more traditional motovlog, if you will. As you can see, the weather's not fantastic, but it's not bad either. The roads are dry. I had a little bit of time to kill before I settle into dad's duties for the day. I don't have long this morning, but it's just a quick video to talk about something that's been coming up in the comments a lot on my last couple of videos. Some bikers just seem to be overly obsessed with power, and I want to talk about why I think that obsession is just unnecessary. I've recently done a video on the Interceptor 650 discussing whether or not I felt it was a good first big bike. And in that video I made a comment about power, and I said in terms of the spectrum of power in motorcycles, I think there's a very small number of motorcycles that are underpowered and a really big number that are overpowered. And when I say overpowered, I don't mean that nobody should own high powered bikes. I just mean that the reality is they have so much power that it's unlikely anyone's ever going to unlock their full potential riding on the road, legally and safely anyway. But I do absolutely see the benefit of high powered machines. I myself have never actually owned anything over about that 50 horsepower mark, funnily enough, and it's not deliberate, it's just the way it's worked out in the bikes that I've chosen. I've certainly ridden high powered machines and I can absolutely see the appeal, and actually I think there's very much going to be a day that I buy a second bike which is a much higher powered bike and have something like the Interceptor or something else entirely as a second bike. But I get the feeling I would probably gravitate towards a lower powered bike for everyday use and have something higher powered for longer journeys, trying to get a bit of touring in, all that kind of stuff. And the reality is, with my life the way it is just now, I've got 2 young kids, I'm very busy at work, I don't get time to go on motorbike tours, but it's certainly something that I hope as the kids grow up that I'll be doing a lot more. Perhaps that's why I've not been quite as bothered about power until now in the bikes that I've chosen, because for me they are just all-rounders, everyday bikes. I do ride around town a lot. I used to commute on my bike. I'm likely to start commuting on my bike again in the future at some point. I do like to go off for 150 mile rides, you know, days out on the bike, and for all of that, bikes at this level of power, this 47 horsepower, are absolutely fine. There's not a massive amount of restriction on the type of riding you can do. They can cruise along at 70 plus miles an hour. Anywhere up to about 80 miles an hour is perfectly happy and comfortable. As you get higher up, you know, 80 to 90, you do start to obviously lose the ability to have roll-on power and to overtake, but you shouldn't be riding at those speeds, never mind overtaking at those speeds anyways. I think there's a few reasons that people get over-obsessed about power. I think the first one, and the really simple one, is that people think power equals status. I think there is an ego thing that happens there, where the higher horsepower bike you've got, the cooler you look to all your biker mates. And that's fine. I mean, I totally get that. Bikes are cool and they're fast and all that stuff, but that mentality just isn't for me. I think another aspect is, if you've always ridden higher powered bikes and you're used to constantly having power, then I think you get worried that you're going to miss that power, or you worry that the bike's going to limit your ability to ride, it's going to limit your safety and all this kind of stuff. You know, there's that fear of the unknown of coming back down to a lower powered bike. And again, I think that's a perfectly valid one. You know, people have preferences and they get used to certain things. And again, this isn't to try and convince anybody that, you know, a lower powered bike is the future and you should, you know, go and ditch your Hayabusa and buy a Royal Enfield Himalayan or something. But again, I think people obsess over power when it comes to the ability to ride quickly. There are some bikes that restrict that ability, and those are the ones that I called underpowered in my last video. When you're down in those kind of mid-20 horsepower range, you're not going to be riding, objectively speaking, fast. However, you can still get yourself up to a good pace on those bikes and maintain that pace through other skills. So it doesn't mean to say that underpowered bikes mean you have to ride slow. And in fact, I had a classic 500 before I had the Interceptor, and I absolutely ripped that thing around and it was great fun. And I said in my last video, power doesn't equal pace. it does help. Obviously having more power on tap allows you to get up to speed more quickly. If you do have to slow down, you can get back up to speed quickly. If you're slowing down for tight bends, you can accelerate back up to your cruising speed as soon as you're out of that bend, and you can overtake in any gear and have loads of roll-on power on tap. All these things are absolutely true. So yes, power does help as it comes to pace, but it's not the only component of being able to ride quickly. And when I'm speaking about riding quickly, of course I advocate that we ride quickly but ride safely, right? I think that one goes without saying, but I said it anyway. I don't think I'm going to land on any conclusion as to why this obsession with power exists. I think it is what it is, but I think it is one of those kind of macho, what they call nowadays toxic masculinity things. I just think it's a weird obsession that a lot of bikers have, and I've never really understood it myself. I did ride 125s for quite some time, and actually I still look back fondly on my days riding 125s, and I still toy with the idea of getting a little 125 because they're just so much fun, like a little Honda Grom or something, or a little Honda monkey bike, because there's just so much fun to be had on those little bikes. You know, maybe I'm just completely misguided and actually there isn't this obsession with power. Maybe it's me that's obsessed with power because I'm so obsessed with the idea that low power bikes are brilliant, and maybe I'm the one who's making it an issue out of nothing. I'm open to that idea, to be honest, but it's a conversation I hear a lot. The comments that I see a lot, I'm getting them through on my videos now, which, by the way, anyone who's even watched my videos, I'm grateful to you and thank you very much. And I love to have the conversation, I love to have the debate. It'll help me to understand, hopefully, you know, why this obsession with power does exist. But anyway, I'm all done. That's all I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to go and do some dadding. Thanks for watching. Ride safe. Have a good one.